Fresh off of BTFOing Alyssa Mercante, Moon Studios CEO Thomas Mahler is back for some clarification as to the business practices of Moon Studios. So let's take a look here. Moon Studios CEO and Ori series director refuses to force DEI stuff into the games, says he finds that entire approach perverted. Well, he's right. Okay. And given how popular those Ori games are and how people are always banging on one another one, I think there's something to this guy's approach, okay? The fact that he, staffs his entire company with industry veterans, guys that have actually proven themselves in the biz and have created timeless classics. I think we should probably listen to somebody like that because they are few and far between left in gaming. It seems that among the wider video game industry, there still exists some creators who believe in the concept of artistic integrity, and one of them is none other than Moon Studio CEO Thomas Mahler. Mahler, who in addition to founding and leading said studio, also directed 2 hits, Ori and the Blind Forest and Will of the Wisps. Man, if they keep on that trajectory next year, we should be getting another Ori game. Made clear his dedication to his craft in a lengthy statement published on his personal Twitter account on October 13th, so over the past weekend, right? In light of the recent calling out of Kotaku senior editor Alyssa Mercante, recent calling out, total destruction and ending of her career. Tomato, right? Disingenuous attempt to insult and smear his character. Yeah, what was it? Whatever dickhead or something like that. And he's like, well, actually, I got some time today. We got some time today, because the video game developer reported that every now and then he was still getting questions on whether we force DEI stuff into the games we're making. And, well, yeah, you can tell, okay? The first Ori, Blind Forest was made in the before times, but Will of the Wisps could have potentially been tainted about what's going on in the wider societal context, especially within the game development industry. And then, of course, No Rest for the Wicked, which is the follow-up and brand new IP coming out of the studio. They haven't given you any reason to be skeptical, but you can always ask for clarification. I understand why he would be getting these questions, and as such has decided to make his, and thus his studio's, stance on the matter clear once and for all. And while one could spend time trying to figure out how to best summarize Mahler's words and sentiments, given the direct and open nature of his response, which I appreciate that, how many other CEOs, I think Saber Interactive is the only one that comes to mind, are A, this open-minded and transparent with the public, and B, also this forthright with their company policies? Because you see other like consultancy or AAA developers, just kind of hard to characterize whether or not, Moon Studios is a AAA or not. It does have, I think it has Microsoft money. I think they're at least linked because that's where those games, became big popular. But even still, you have like Yves Guillemot over at Ubisoft speaking in tongues, and no, that's not just because he's French. What's his name? Thomas over there at CDPR just lying about and contradicting what he has on his website, as opposed to no, we hire on merit, even though you have equity policies and exclusionary scholarship programs. Yeah, you just have these common sense CEOs and developers coming out saying, nah man, we do this radical thing in gaming called focus on the end product. It's strange, right? Beginning by addressing the aforementioned fan questions regarding whether or not Moon Studios followed any strict DEI directives, the CEO asserted absolutely not. I find that entire approach perverted. I'm an artist. I would rather quit than have someone else tell me how we should do our art. That would make a mockery out of everything that I believe in. I've been very much outspoken on how I feel about consulting, and still very strongly feel that if people haven't lived the process and don't have to think about the issues at hand 24/7, they will always deliver worse work than those who do. When it comes to the stories we're telling, I always approach it from a human angle first and foremost, and let the story tell me where it needs to go. If it tickles me to have a gay character in our story, I feel like that character could be fascinating, then I will push for that. But I would never make a character gay simply because some outside party told me that it's hip to do so, and that we might face backlash if we don't. Art fundamentally doesn't work that way. Everyone has stories inside of them that are based on the experiences that they went through in their lives, and to me, what elevates art beyond just craft is when you've reflected enough to know how you are, and then let those stories out, because those experiences that you lived through are most likely experiences that other people can relate to and will speak to them in a profound manner because they're real. It's a little bit more of an extrapolation because, we deride certain creatives out there that just simply write their own life experience, and their own life experience isn't that interesting. When you speak to universal human truths, when you speak about the call to adventure, when you use the hero's journey to tell your tale, there's a reason that fairy tales, adapted in different forms or fashion, because most of the Disney classic films, well, they're just all wholesale rips from stories from cultures way outside of the, conventional scope. I mean, Dragon Ball Z, arguably the most famous anime of all time, is just an adaptation of Journey to the West, another intensely important and ancient Chinese folktale. Those stories endure because they speak to the human condition. All of this modernist bullshit writing that you see pervert the likes of the MCU, Disney, Star Wars. Nobody remembers any of that stuff. You tell me the plot points. You tell me some of the plot threads of the Book of Boba Fett. Hell, we can even go more recent with The Acolyte. Like, what the hell was that story about? It was supposed to be a cross between Frozen and Kill Bill. No, it was just trash that immediately got canceled and very well could end up being stripped off the platform by the end of the year. But yeah, like Mahler says, okay, because they're real. There's nothing authentic about those stories. Those are the maudlin screeds of talentless hacks wallowing in their own self-pity. Ori and the Blind Forest, going back to what Mahler has to say, in many ways was about me reflecting on what it was like to see my father dying of cancer when I was 10 and being grateful to my mom. Wisps, on the other hand, was written when we all started to have kids in the studio and imagining what it would be like to have a kid with a disability. I wrote my first draft of our upcoming game, No Rest for the Wicked, quite some time ago, and that also came from a very specific place. Hope that clarifies it to everyone, he concluded. I've had to learn the hard way what it means to be an artist, and I've never let anyone take that away from me. I mean, the fact that he can extrapolate on those two wildly successful games like that, and that's the underpinning story. I mean, you very likely have been touched by somebody in your extended family, or maybe unfortunately your immediate family who has cancer. Like, that sort of withering loss that you sense within your grander family is what made that original game so profound, because so many people can relate to that. As for flipping the script on that, be it going from the kid to the authority figure, that's a natural extrapolation of that story. Being the protector of somebody who has far more limitations than your traditional child, seeing how far you'd care for that person, I mean, that's another very engrossing tale, and there's the official, or rather the original script right there. The fact that only had, at least at the time of the screenshot, 144,000 views, I mean, that was pretty powerful, man. On the low, I got a little choked up about that a little bit, but hey, didn't have to cut away or anything like that. Anyways, met with support and agreement from Twitter user Madam Savvy. Mahler thanked sharing her criticism of the characters can only be written by people who are exactly like them mindset, and laughed. How did Shakespeare write all these fascinating female characters then? Well, if you know anything about potentially what was going on with Shakespeare, anyways, it boggles the mind. Yeah, exactly. That only a woman can write an interesting female character is just, I don't like to speak that way online, but it's naive at best and ignorant at worst, he ultimately concluded. Yeah, exactly. If a male writer can write a female character such as Beatrice or Lady Macbeth, to me, that's case closed. And I mean, you take a look, it's so weird, right? Because recently I was just thinking, it's like, okay, cool, with all of these female creatives, all of these stories, the likes of the Rings of Power, it ended up, it was touted as, hey guys, take a look, season 2 is going to be so much better than season 1 because we have an all-female directorial staff. It's going to be great. And it was trash. Absolute unmitigated trash. Writer's Room of the previously mentioned Acolyte, She-Hulk, all female staffs, and they all suck. Now, I bring her up time to time because I thought that she did excellent work. Couldn't finish the story, but don't let it detract from the overall quality. But Amy Hennig, back when she was running hot over at, Naughty Dog before Neil Cuckman came and rugged her and removed her from the company so that he can go ahead and tell his gay masterpiece and nobody wants to see continued in The Last of Us. But, she was responsible for a lot of Naughty Dog's hits. First and foremost, the first 3, and by my accounts, the only 3 Uncharted games. Like, I threw out most of my special editions of games and stuff, but I just look over to my big media shelf that I have over there, and I have one left, mostly because, the special edition was super cool, and it's Uncharted 3, by the way. But yeah, I used to have like all of the Assassin's Creed special editions. Like if they just came big box, if they have like steel books and stuff like that. So I still have the Tomb Raider reboot, Mass Effect 2, Mass Effect 3. Jesus, whenever a game was coming out in the early 2000s, or I'm sorry, the early 2010s, late 2000s, I would just snatch it up, mostly because the special editions were only like $10 more, and you actually got like tangible value out of that. Oh, God of War 3, I had the big statue, but I threw that out. Pretty cool statue, but whatever. That's another thing, right? Like you have these chicks that come in, okay, you know, just talking about Amy Hennig, like she was writing Nathan Drake, and Nathan Drake in those first 3 Uncharted games was awesome. He wasn't some dollar store Indiana Jones. He was Nathan Drake, the mascot for PlayStation. Okay, like arguably they ripped off Tomb Raider, right? Like that was the meme running around at the time. It's obviously a different game, different mechanics and all that stuff, but whatever. But then when the Tomb Raider reboot came around, everybody was looking at that as rip-off Uncharted, mostly because Amy Hennig was great at her gig, but she is few and far between. Most of these chicks, like Jessica Gao for She-Hulk, okay, under the tutelage and under the leadership of Dan Harmon, wrote a couple of, I think, like Pickle Rick, and I don't know, I don't watch Rick and Morty, but I know that that's one of the notable ones and one of the fan favorite episodes, right? Like she got the job of director for She-Hulk, and she produced that crap. Deborah Chow, okay, got the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, which is absolute hot garbage. I think that she had connections to Breaking Bad, and then before that did a couple of lackluster episodes of The Mandalorian. You bring these chicks in that just don't have any acumen, simply write self-inserts or demasculinized men that are just unthreatening, that they think that they would like in practice, or I'm sorry, on paper, but in practice are those repulsive male feminists that nobody would give a time of day to. Like, would you rather have James Cameron write Ellen Ripley from Aliens or Sarah Connor from the first 2 Terminators? Well, the only 2 Terminators, right? Or would you rather have a gender studies major with an English minor come out, get into a writer's room and tell her lived experience? Yeah, I think I know what I'm going for. 9 times out of 10, I'm looking for a universal human truth in a story from the likes of Thomas Mahler, as opposed to Neil Cuckman telling another misery story. And oh, by the way, Ellie's gay, didn't you know? But shout out to him for making some excellent games. Nothing but success. Wish you nothing but the best with no rest for the wicked. I'm looking forward to it. I'll be paying attention to it, and I'll be supporting the guys that actually want the best for the gaming industry, that want the best for the customer, and don't actually hate you. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.